Good evening, and I welcome you all to the November 1st meeting of the Pitt County Board of Commissioners. And I call this to order. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Here.
Commissioner Albright.
Here.
Commissioner Colson.
Here.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Here.
Commissioner Nunley.
Here.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Ward.
Here.
Commissioner White. Here.
Thank you. At this time, we will have invocation by Commissioner Beth Ward and the pledge by Commissioner Chris Nunley.
Gracious Heavenly Father, please be with us tonight, those who are here observing and those of us who are sitting up here in the Commissioner seat. Guide us, help us to do thy will and what is best for Pitt County and our citizens. We thank you for your blessings. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner McLaughlin?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would like to request that we, on the public hearing, quasi-judicial hearing, and the presentation number 1 on the 8-1, that we hear that before the public address to the board. Also, Madam Chair, the resolution of adoption of the redistricting plan, I'd like to move that to the item for decision.
Second.
The motion.
Would you like to add the Eagle Scouts to that? Commissioner Nunley, move that up.
What's that?
His motion.
He
did
did
that
He
with
did.
that motion.
He did a Eagle
Okay.
Scout, yep.
All right, I'm sorry, I missed it. Okay, it's been moved and second that we will move those items up to, before we approve the agenda. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Yes, Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White. Yes. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, and then we will have a motion to approve the agenda. I believe it's in order at this time. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
With those,
Second it.
with those changes. It's been moved and second that the agenda is approved with those changes. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White. Yes. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Well, we stand there at public addresses to the board. I'm sorry. The first one is the hearing.
Would you like to wipe out the Boy Scouts and do them first and get them out, or?
Okay, yes, let's do
If we
Boy
can
Scouts.
ask the 3 Boy Scouts, we have Thomas Silvernell, James Griffin, and Tyler Morgan, if they're either in the hallway or the basement or outside or in between, they could
I
come.
didn't see them outside.
And if not, maybe you could, I guess you could proceed on and we'll
Okay.
swing back to them.
Okay, we'll now move to the quasi hearing. And I believe, Mr. Rose or Mr. Manager, do you have something to say first?
Madam Chair, I believe Compute North's attorney is here to present a statement before we get started with anything else. If you want to invite Mr. Todd in.
Oh, okay.
Hello, I'm Jeff Jackson with Compute North, and I want to again thank the chairwoman and the board for your time this evening. I want to start off by notifying everyone, as you have received, of our desire to formally withdraw our application after our opening statement. We have said throughout the process that Compute North listens, we are transparent, and we act with integrity. We are the leading Tier 0 data center hosting provider in the country, and we are a positive business partner with our communities. It is clear to us that this is the right decision. Our partners at GUC and the Eastern North Carolina Alliance have been wonderful to work with, and our engagement with the community has been primarily supportive. In fact, we had over 60 people stop at our table at last week's job fair. The silent majority sees the potential of additional tax base, additional jobs, and the benefit of bringing a rapidly growing company in a rapidly growing high-tech industry to Pitt County and Eastern North Carolina. Since the last hearing, we've done our best to engage with the community and with the media. It remains clear to us that there is a significant amount of misinformation and confusion about our company, our industry, and our project. We feel it's very important in situations like this to make an effort to educate, if for no other reason than to simply ensure that the truth is told. Facts and truth do matter. There's one issue that I want to hit head on because it's important to Compute North, and frankly, it's extremely important to me personally. Statements have been made that perhaps this project site was located to somehow target a marginalized community or without regard to the community we plan to join. Nothing could be further from the truth. I want to remind the board and the public that we purposefully hosted a voluntary open house and distributed invitations to that open house to a far wider radius than was required by the county. Furthermore, there's no better display of our commitment to equality and equity than our withdrawal from the site, despite the significant sunk costs and negative impact to our business. Integrity is a core value for us, and we have demonstrated this at every step in the process, including today. I do want to talk about our facilities. It gets to the point where so much misinformation is propagated that's almost difficult to know where to start. First, I want to start with noise. Noise, like anything else, can be mitigated through engineering. Frankly, we were caught off guard by the lack of trust that our facilities needed to be in compliance with a legal ordinance. It is the law. We must follow the law. This is fundamental to any business. It's important for subsequent businesses in Pitt County that folks understand that noise can be measured, mitigated, measured again, and laws will be enforced. Second, I want to discuss emissions, hazardous or toxic materials, and impacts to the environment. For the avoidance of any further doubt, our facility generates no emissions. It uses no chemicals or hazardous or toxic materials in the cooling of the computer servers, and it has no material impact on the surrounding environment. Lastly, I want to talk about our company and our industry. Compute North is a leading Tier 0 data center company. In fact, we trademarked the phrase. What this means is that we build low-cost, efficient computing and data processing data centers. We have been featured on Bloomberg and in the Wall Street Journal. The governors of both Nebraska and Texas have been strongly supportive of our business, and we have won business awards in the communities of our other projects. Just this past week, we were named the single fastest growing company in Minnesota. To put this in perspective, for Pitt County, even though we are based in Minnesota, nearly 1/3 of our employees are based at our Kearney, Nebraska facility. I do want to put a quick note in here about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Blockchain is widely regarded as the next internet. New technologies can often be misunderstood and confuse people until they get familiar with it. I encourage you all to research blockchain and cryptocurrency, particularly some of the benefits to historically underbanked communities and to those communities where remittances are common. In closing, I want to again thank the board and the community for engaging with us. After the first hearing, my statement to our team was something along the lines of, it's not always fun, but thank God we live in a country where these processes really are public, transparent, and individual citizens have an opportunity to have their voice heard. I truly believe that then. I continue to truly believe that now. Thank you for your public service and the opportunity to present. We'd like to formally withdraw our permit application.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. At this time, we would like the Spanish interpreter to read your letter.
Could we read the statement in English first and have it interpreted?
Yes.
I want a copy of that.
Would you like me to do that, Madam Chairwoman?
Yes.
Can I see a copy?
Madam Chairman, I'd like a copy of his statement to be given to us for the record. Thank you.
We request for a copy of your statement if you could provide it in writing or.
That's probably fine, but I'd like to, is that a real-time decision we have to make, or can we follow up with our counsel?
Yes, yeah, that's fine.
What was that response?
He wants to follow up with his legal counsel before submitting it in writing.
Okay.
So the written statement that was passed out is entitled Pitt County Board of Commissioners Notice of Withdrawal of Compute North Special Use Permit Application. It says Compute North NC 08 LLC, in parentheses, applicant hereby withdraws a special use permit application dated September 20th, 2021 for a data processing facility, in parentheses, large scale, off Belvoir School Road, Belvoir, North Carolina. This withdrawal is made without prejudice or waiver of any applicant rights under the Pitt County ordinances or state law. So, Madam Chairwoman, you may want the Spanish interpreter to read that for the Hispanic
Yes.
population.
Okay, he's ready.
Aviso de retiro de la solicitud de uso especial, de permiso para uso especial de Compute North. Compute North NC08 LLC, el solicitante, por el presente retira su solicitud para permiso de uso especial con fecha del 20 de septiembre de 2021 para una instalación de procesamiento de datos cerca de la calle Belvoir School Road, en Belvoir, Carolina del Norte. Aviso de retiro de la solicitud para el permiso de uso especial de Compute North. Compute North NC08 LLC, solicitante por el presente, retira su solicitud de permiso para uso especial con fecha del 20 de septiembre de 2021 para una instalación de procesamiento de datos de gran escala cerca de la calle Belvoir School en Belvoir, Carolina del Norte. Este retiro se hace sin prejuicio y sin renuncia de cualquier de los derechos del solicitante según las ordenanzas del condado de Pitt o la ley estatal.
Thank you. James, is there anything else?
I wanted to ensure that you formally accepted the withdrawal.
Yes. Do we need a vote on it?
You don't necessarily need a motion, but you as chair can just state that we have received the withdrawal, we have accepted it, and that will remove any further action from your agenda today.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jackson. We receive your withdrawal, and it will be entered into our minutes as a withdrawal, and no further action will be taken at this time. Thank you. And at this time, all people who were planning to speak about Computer North, you may be excused also. Okay. Thank you. And now we're back at public
Yes,
address.
now you're ready for the second public hearing for the Economic Development Incentive for Project Haven. If you can ask Kelly Andrews to come forward.
No, we do the
Oh.
other public address, the other public, I mean, go back to the public address.
Madam Chairman, we want to do the scouts.
Oh, okay.
The scouts are here now?
Yes.
What are the scouts?
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
This is John Sullivan.
Yes.
She still wants to speak under public addresses to the board, but I'm not sure if the topic has changed or.
I made it to Tenderfoot. I made it to Tenderfoot.
Farther than me. You gotta get much farther than we do.
Actually, I made it to Star, but I couldn't go any further. Everything costs money, and we didn't have any money, and I couldn't afford it, so I couldn't go for Eagle. I was. I never could learn to tie knots, though. I did a few, but that was not my forte.
That's a valuable skill. You just
It
kinda
is.
not-
It is. You're right.
Tonight, we honor 3 Boy Scouts, 2 Boy Scouts, but we're going to name for Boy Scouts who earned the Eagle Scout designation. And we have 2 of them here with us. We have Thomas Silvernail and, who's our second one? Okay, Tyler Morgan. Okay. We have one more that we'll name here at the end that could not make it. So if we can ask Thomas Silvernail to come forward first. If you have anybody here with you, such as your dad, Dr. Thomas, John Silvernail. Anybody else that you'd like to support us? If you'd like someone to take a picture for you, we can ask Mike Taylor back here will do that for you. I think she's got a camera here if you want to use hers. Okay, all right.
I know where it works.
Madam Chairwoman, would you like me to proceed?
Please do. Please
All
do.
right, so the Pitt County Board of Commissioners recognizes young men in the Boy Scouts of America who've obtained the Eagle Scout designation here in Pitt County, and nationally our percentage of Eagle Scouts far outranks other counties and states in the nation, and we'd like to recognize both Boy Scouts and even Girl Scouts who earned the Gold Award. But in this case tonight, it is Boy Scouts, and our first certificate, if you'd like me to read this?
Yes.
Okay. Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Thomas Silvernail for achieving the Eagle Scout Award. For his project, he built and installed 2 swings and a planter box at the Pitt County Senior Center. This is presented by the Pitt County Board of Commissioners this first day of November 2021 and signed by our chairwoman, Ann Floyd Huggins. I'll let you present that.
Congratulations. Do you have anything you want to say?
No, I'm good. So when you reflect back 20 years.
Promise I don't have COVID.
No.
All right, Tyler Morgan will come forward, again with parents, supporters, Scoutmaster, whoever may be here. Welcome. We can proceed
Okay.
again? Okay.
Please.
Again, this certificate is awarded to Tyler Morgan for achieving the Eagle Scout Award. For his project, he built 2 flag disposal boxes for the veterans of foreign wars. And again, this is presented by the board tonight, this first day of November 2021. Chairwoman.
Okay. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do you mask on or mask off? Off, okay. We have a 3rd Eagle Scout. We'll go ahead and recognize him, at least even though he's not here. James Griffin, for his Eagle Scout Award, he built benches for the Aiden Griffin High School tennis courts. So we'd like to recognize him tonight.
Thank you. And then we will complete the public addresses to the board at this time.
Okay, Madam Chairwoman, I'd like the county attorney to read our statement on public
Oh,
address.
yes, please, Madam Attorney.
Yes, Pitt County welcomes comments on all matters of public concern. For each speaker, when you come up, please state your name and address. I'll keep your time at 3 minutes per speaker. Pursuant to the board's rules of procedure, they are not to respond to your remarks, but there may be a member of staff who gets back to you at a later date. Please keep all comments respectful. When the timer goes off, I'll ask you to conclude your remarks. Thank you.
First, we
All
have
right.
Diane Ruffino. You come forward and give your name and address, please.
My name is Diane Ruffino, and I live in Greenville at 165 Edgebrook Drive.
You may begin.
I remember how I would look up proudly at the monument's inscription, erected by the people of Pitt County in grateful remembrance of the courage and fortitude of our Confederate soldiers. On the one side, and on the other side, theirs was not to make reply, theirs was not to reason why, theirs was but to do and die. Taken from the poem, Charge of the Light Brigade by Tennyson. A local historian estimated that almost 1,400 young Pitt County men served and fought in defense of this state. Some of their relatives continue to live here in Pitt County. Did you consider them, their feelings, their sense of pride and contribution when you decided to take the monument down? And what about the large segment of our community who is grateful, prideful for the service of those fallen soldiers? These are respectful, law-abiding citizens. Can you imagine the courage it took for those soldiers to fight as they did, the fortitude, the loyalty they must have had when they gave their last full measure? You deemed the monument a threat because you were afraid it would inspire a certain segment of the community who might view it as racist and act out and incite civil unrest and destroy property. Yet, where better to house the monument than right in front of the Sheriff's Department and around the corner from the Greenville Police? Why weren't you concerned for those citizens who were proud to gaze upon it and remember why North Carolina took the position she did when she decided to leave the Union? Acting in convention in 1861, North Carolina refused to secede. She wanted to remain loyal to the Union. But then Fort Sumter happened. President Lincoln sent a telegram to the governor of North Carolina, John Ellis, and demanded the state provide 75,000 troops. Governor Ellis responded, "You will get no troops from North Carolina." Another convention was called, and in a unanimous decision, the delegates voted to secede. North Carolina seceded not because of slavery, but because she believed that the common government should not be used to plunder the wealth of the South in order to benefit the North, and that it did not have the right to force one state to take up arms against a fellow state. For those beliefs, not slavery, North Carolina finally decided to separate from the Union. That fills me with great pride and gratitude. The monument reflects that proud history. In choosing to permanently remove the Confederate soldiers' monument, where it has stood peacefully since 1914, you, the board, missed a golden opportunity to teach our community, our county, the correct and honorable history of North Carolina at the time of the so-called Civil War. Instead, you chose to infer a dishonorable meaning to the monument. Instead of deciding to use the monument to unite our community and with common values and a common history through a sense of pride, you used the decision to validate sentiments of hate and oppression and division. Terrorism works. Why? Because it uses terror and violence. Racism works. Why? Because it silences anybody who does not go along with the racist rhetoric. We cannot give in to this mentality. I'm finishing up. You commissioners especially, as the voice of we the citizens of Pitt County, must not give in to this mentality. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person.
Marcus Carichin.
Good evening, everybody. Actually, the main reason I came here tonight was about the Christmas form, but I guess we were relieved from that now, I hope. And hope we don't have to deal with it again. Because I can tell you, as one that's worked in industry all my life, and commercial and industrial and all, My ears are ringing very loud right now as we speak, so I hope that's over with. Another thing I want to address, she's already done a fine speech tonight on the monument. Just, we're still, of course, got our committee together, and we're still working on that legally to put it back where it came from. One other thing is the last meeting with the 2A, Second Amendment, Ordinance 4. I'm trying to understand how and why only 5 commissioners in this whole county can pass such a law, such a ruling, when this is supposed to be a 2A sanctuary county. Where there was a petition, there was all the people here and everywhere else, over 300-some people that were for keeping it the way it was. Where's the petition? Where's the complaints from any other citizen in the big county? Where's an incident that may have happened to cause this to happen, to take this away, take our rights away? Only 5 county commissioners, it's their decision, who are supposed to be representing the county residents and their decisions. What gives them the right to take away the rights of the citizens who nobody even asked for this to happen? I hope y'all reconsider, because it's not going to go away anyways. It's going to come back. And it'll be ugly when y'all can actually handle it yourselves and make it right. Thank you, everybody. Have a blessed night.
Yes, sir.
Jerry McRoy.
Jerry McRoy, a Greenville resident. Good evening, commissioners. Occasionally, I visit the Pitt County Courthouse to walk around the courthouse square holding my sign. I call it my one-man peaceful protest. Most of my friends who care deeply about the illegal removal of our Confederate monument are working folks who don't have time to demonstrate and protest in the streets every day. Many county residents have ancestors who faithfully fulfilled their duty to serve North Carolina during the war between the states. During my protest, I don't throw rocks, break windows, set fires, destroy personal property, loot businesses, or attack innocent bystanders. I simply walk around and express my desire for the Pitt County Commissioners to restore our historic Confederate monument. During my peaceful protest, I run into supporters and detractors. The detractors usually show their disdain toward me for expressing my lawful First Amendment rights. The supporters, however, expressed their disdain for the Pitt County Board of Commissioners that voted 7-2 to remove our historic monument. By that action, you deliberately broke North Carolina law. You violated your own code of ethics and your oath of office. Yet you are unapologetically indifferent toward the citizens who seek relief. You should be removed from office. Last Wednesday, October 27th, I was walking around the courthouse square and noticed an unusual amount of activity down on 1st Street. Many cars were parked near the town commons area, and I spotted a number of dressed up folks walking or approaching the area of the Sycamore Hill Gateway Plaza. I later learned what was going on. The new Greenville African American Cultural Trail was being launched and celebrated. I know at least one of you spoke at that event. A few questions went through my mind. Was the removal of the Potter's Raids Civil War Trails marker by the city of Greenville just a timely coincidence? Was the unruly, lawless mob who went through the streets of Greenville on May 31st, 2020, a group of paid protesters and agitators to provide a semi-plausible excuse for the county and city's sinister plans? Was the removal of our 106-year-old Confederate monument by the Pitt County Commissioners just a well-timed coincidence? Or were these events part of a planned sequence to clear the landscape for other coming historical installations focused on a single racial group? Was this perhaps a large local government conspiracy? You were all elected, you were to serve all the people of Pitt County. 5 of you clearly showed at the 10/18 meeting that you feel you are much more important, almost done, than your constituents. As an elected county board, you should use your authority for good, and restore our Confederate monument to its rightful place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Reginald Band, I believe?
Barrett.
Barrett?
Barrett.
Okay, Barrett, thank you.
Good evening. I'm actually speaking on behalf of Marquez Thompson, who is the regional manager-organizer for Democracy North Carolina tonight. He has some other things to come up. He says, I recently received concern from community members about the number of split precincts in the currently proposed map and that Winterville was unnecessarily split. I looked at the maps and I shared their concerns. Although I was very late to the process, I decided to write a letter outlining this concern, and I sent it to the chair of this board. Now let me say clearly, my concern is in no way a reflection of the staff and the hard work they have done. Everyone from county manager to James Rose to the nice lady who took my message, everyone has been kind, professional, and exceptional. They are hardworking professionals, and they have nothing but my sincere respect. What I learned from them is that these splits were there right in the previous maps, and so they were baked into the process. The staff was just following the directive of this body as their job. So my appeal is to you. Even though the past map split these precincts, you have an opportunity to undo that. And although Winterville is currently split, you have a chance to undo that as well. I urge you to take this opportunity to adopt a map that has fewer splits, presence, and keeps Winterville mostly intact. Thank you.
Next is Keith Cooper.
Now, before I officially start my presentation, I want to remind some of you who apparently forgotten that I do represent an organization, and I believe the county attorney can attest to the fact that organizational leaders do get 5 minutes to speak.
With the chair's approval. If you specify the name of your organization, and if anybody is here, they may stand. If not, you may specify the name of your organization.
The Benevolence Corps, 501c3. I wrote it on the sign-in sheet.
Okay.
And let me know, Madam Chair, when I may start.
The attorney is keeping the time.
I've got you at 5 minutes. You may begin.
Thank you. Cryptocurrency mining, a continuous process where computerized work to solve algorithms to maintain and build an algorithmic chain or blockchain has been a controversial process. The increasing energy consumption of cryptocurrency mining operations results in greenhouse gas emissions that contribute to climate change. Moreover, such mining might be compared to a ferocious hurricane, worse than Hurricane Betsy, leaving devastation in its path. Citizens of conscience must use the NIMBY approach, not in my backyard, to challenge, well, Computer North, I guess, North is a moot point now, but any other such company that wants to set up in our backyard. We need to say, not in our backyard, my backyard. I've read numerous articles and impact studies regarding how cryptocurrency mining operations ravage mostly economically distressed areas and communities of color. It's no secret that such companies avoid affluent areas of counties like Ironwood and other places because citizens of those areas typically have a lot of political clout to avoid this kind of stuff. In any event, I urge you to put the health of the people in the Belleville community ahead of tax revenue from any crypto mining company whose oligarchs are interested not in promoting social benefits, but in maximizing profits for themselves and their stakeholders. The costs of cryptocurrency mining far outweigh any potential benefits. The costs include neighborhood disruptions and property devaluations. Additionally, the noise pollution is such that students at the school in the area will have a difficult time focusing their studies because of the constant humming sound emanating from loud fans from the proposed facility. Electronic waste products from the discarded, overworked computers contain mercury, lead, beryllium, cadmium, and other carcinogenic chemicals that find their way into the soil, the water, and the air. So let's look out for our children and oppose opportunistic crypto mining companies that set up shop in areas with low-cost electricity that typically goes up later down the line, and economically distressed citizens, mostly people of color. Not only do you, as commissioners, have an obligation to limit greenhouse gases, but you also must be held to account by your constituents, the voters, who choose not to be robbed of their health, peace of mind, and well-being. By the way, I read a story about a citizen who described the constant noise from a cryptocurrency mining outfit as a jet that never lands. Teddy Pendergrass with Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes was prophetic when in the 1970s he admonished us that the world would get no better if we just let it be. We got to change this world for you and me. So finally, again, let's look out for our children and grandchildren and condemn environmental injustice. That's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Yoshi Newman.
Hello, Yoshi Newman, 214 Quail Hollow Road, Greenville, North Carolina. Hello, Commissioners, Manager Elliott, and Madam Attorney. First of all, I want to thank each of you for the difficult work that you do and the challenges of sitting in the seats where you sit now. There are commissioners' meetings that I watch, and I just think, I'm in awe and appreciation of everything you do. Difficult issues that come before you. I want to speak tonight to a very poignant moment that we have, an opportunity that I think is a great opportunity. We have seen over the last several weeks the importance of careful, strategic economic development. What I'd like to see the commissioners and county staff do is move forward with an aggressive strategic plan to attract green businesses with green jobs. We're all seeing, and I think we all understand, the critical urgency of carbon neutral agendas and actions. We have an opportunity to do that here in Pitt County. I'd really like for us to see us be a leader in Eastern North Carolina and in the state of North Carolina. And we can really move forward with a progressive agenda to address the dire and critical environmental realities that we have facing us right now. So I appreciate your work, and I appreciate you hearing my concerns. And I look forward to seeing what we might be able to do together to make Eastern North Carolina an environmental leader. Thank you so much, and thank you again for the difficult work that you do.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, that's all we have signed up, unless there's somebody in the audience who'd like to come forward to speak.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Madam Chair, in connection with the statement that was made about the monument, and we've heard it, previously, and it's never been said why the monument was taken down. And placed in a safe place, and it was because it had been threatened. It had already been vandalized twice, and that was the reason for the removal. And that's really all I want to say as to where it is, or when it's going back up, or where it's going back up. I have no idea. But I think it's important that it wasn't just taken down because we didn't want it there.
Okay, thank you. We will now move to the next item on the public hearing, and that's the Economic Development Incentive Project. Haven, Kelly Andrews.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners.
Good evening.
Project Haven is seeking local government support for their application for an NC Commerce Building Reuse Grant in the rural health category, which allows for the renovation, expansion, or new construction of licensed health care facilities. This project will develop a treatment facility in rural Pitt County, including a $38.5 million taxable investment and the creation of approximately 80 jobs over 3 years. The application requires a unit of local government, in this case Pitt County, to provide a resolution in support of the application and a 5% financial match. As the maximum grant, the building reuse grant, is $500,000, Pitt County's financial commitment would not exceed $25,000. On behalf of the client, Pitt County Economic Development recommends moving forward with this grant application, resolution, and grant match up to $25,000.
Madam Chairwoman, I recommend you open the public hearing and
At this time, we open public hearing.
and,
And do we have,
nobody signed up unless there's somebody in the audience who'd like to come forward and speak.
if not, we will close public hearing for this.
Madam Chair, move that we accept
Second.
department head's recommendation.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we accept the Project Havens as Economic Development Incentive Program, or project rather. Are you ready for the question, Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick. Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Thank you. We'll now move to items for report, the manager's report.
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, Commissioners, so your next meeting dates on November 15th and then December 6th. And the other thing I have to report is Planning Department via James Rhodes asked me to report on a acknowledgement and partnership with the City of Greenville regarding removing storm debris from waterways in close proximity to the city. We received a letter from the city, actually our Soil and Water Conservation District Director, P.J. Andrews, received this from the city, basically from the city manager, saying that she was writing to express appreciation for providing assistance to the City of Greenville through the snagging project led by the Pitt County Soil and Water Conservation District. So that the project will remove water access for 2 of our city parks, Town Common and Wildwood Park. The Tar River is now safer due to the removal of various trees and will benefit many citizens and the businesses in the area. The Tar River is a great resource for this community, and through this partnership, the river has become safer and more accessible for recreational boaters. She says we look forward to many more collaborative projects in the future. So,
Okay. All
good
right.
report. That's all I have.
Okay. Next, we will move to items for consent.
Madam Chair, I move for acceptance of items for consent.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we approve the items for consent. You've
Second.
heard the question.
Madam Chair, I do want to note that the resolution adopting the redistricting plan was deleted
Yes.
from there.
Yes, it was moved, and it can go at number 9, item down there. And you made the motion, you did, yes. Okay. Madam Clerk?
Yes, Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson?
Yes.
Commissioner McGawhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins-Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner White? Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, move down to items for decision, budget amendment, I believe Randy, you up?
Good evening, Chairwoman Huggins and
Good
Commissioners.
evening.
Emergency Management is requesting $10,244.25 for a replacement part for our radio system. We have one of the nicest radio systems, I believe, that I know of anywhere for our public safety use. We're requesting the money to replace, it's called a TTA, which is a tower top amplifier that we believe was struck by lightning or something else, but that's what Motorola is telling us. They believe it was a lightning strike. And we need to have this part available in case there's another situation where the TTA goes out, because each tower that we have in the county has a TTA, so it behooves us to have a spare ready just in case of the next emergency.
Second.
That part would fit the rest of them?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, there's no other questions? It's been moved in second. Are you ready for the question, Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick?
Yes.
Commissioner Albright?
Yes.
Commissioner Colson?
Yes.
Commissioner McGawhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins-Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move to the next item, budget amendment, governing boards, signage, and that Janice, Madam Attorney.
Yes, this is a $1,500 budget amendment to update signage related to changes to law enforcement ordinance number 4.
Second it.
It's been moved in second that we approve the budget amendment for this signage. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins?
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick?
No.
Commissioner Albright?
Yes.
Commissioner Colson?
No.
Commissioner McGawhorn?
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley?
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins-Williams?
Yes.
Commissioner Ward?
Yes.
Commissioner White?
No.
Motion passes 6-3.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Brian is there.
Good evening, Chairwoman Floyd Huggins and Board of Commissioners. In response to your move to pause our ARP funding, one of the things you wanted to see was to bring back a plan to involve the public and to receive input on how we should spend our money. We've put together a plan that will allow us 4 different methods to receive input from the community. We're looking to have 5 in-person sessions spread out across the county to make sure that we hit all 4 corners. On the same day as those sessions that are in person, we are going to have the in-person session in the evening, and during the day from 10 to 12, we're looking to have a virtual part of the input for those who may feel more comfortable or just may find it easier to reach us through Zoom. We are also going to have written comment via our website or any of our traditional ways to communicate to us, to the county. And then lastly, our 4th method is part of our public comment. If anybody wants to come for the the second meeting in November and our 2 meetings in December, we'll be glad to take that information. We're going to take all this information together and compile it, hopefully before the calendar year ends, as you all wanted to see some type of work session in January and to provide the feedback to you. On the second page of your abstract lays out the exact dates for those sessions, November the 10th, 17th, 29th, December 1st, and December 2nd. As I said, during the day, we will have virtual sessions via Zoom, and in the evening, we will have locations here in the Eugene James Auditorium, at the Mark W. Owens Auditorium. We will have a session at our community schools and at the District Park. We will have a session at the Grimesland Town Hall, and our last session will be in Farmville. Do you all have any questions? The manager may have some comments.
Yeah, just one noted correction on page 140, where we give the 4 different areas of input on the second section, number 2, and the virtual meetings. All the dates are correct, but the 3rd and 5th day of the week where it's mentioned, the 3rd one down says Wednesday, it should be Monday. The last one that says Wednesday should be Tuesday, but all the dates are correct. We just had 2 misnomers on typing out the days of the
Okay,
week.
so December 1st is on a Monday and December 7th is on a Tuesday?
The November 22nd, where it says Wednesday, should say Monday.
Okay.
And then December 7th, where it says Wednesday, should say Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
And there was an updated list set out in front of everybody.
Oh, okay.
Motion to approve staff's plan for public input.
And before you do that, I'll also add, we are working with MIS to put all this on the website. We hope to have it up and running. I'm going to go on a limb and say by Wednesday, it'll have all the dates and times and the feedback mechanisms in place for the public to reach out to us.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded that we approve this plan. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Brian, you're up again?
Second part of this, I do want to ask you all's permission to go ahead and put our ARP coordinator position out there. I think it's smart of us to go ahead and advertise this position because it's being stressed to all the counties and the larger cities to go ahead and hire somebody due to the complexities of the compliance and reporting. I think we're going to get a lot of input, and I think it would be beneficial to have our person in place, hopefully, as we move into January and February to hit the ground running. So as of right now, we just want to advertise. The funding from this will come from the ARP, so there's no county dollars involved, and hopefully we can have somebody here late winter, early spring.
Motion approved.
Second.
Okay. It's been moved and seconded that we approve the coordinator position for the ARP funds. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We'll then move to the appointment to the Pitt County Board of Adjustments. Mr. Manager?
Yes, on this you have Rex Fleming's term is expiring. He's not eligible for reappointment. There's nobody recommended, but you do have one applicant who is Wanda Wynn, represents District 2, which I believe is the same district that Mr. Fleming was coming from.
Okay.
If that's the board's desire.
Okay. We'll entertain a motion to approve Ms.
Wanda Wynn?
Wanda to fill Mr. Rex Fleming.
Wanda Wynn.
Yes.
Is that correct? I say move.
Second.
It's been moved in second that we appoint Wanda to fill Rex Fleming's expired term. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. We'll move to number 6, Mr. Manager, the appointment of local fireman relief fund board.
Yes, this is the annual reappointment process, and you've got the various different volunteer fire departments, those folks who serve on the local fireman's relief fund board. Some are required exception and others do not, but you've got the recommended list of people whose names have been put up.
I move approval of the recommended list.
Second.
It's been moved in second that we approve the recommended list. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. We'll move to number 7, appointment to Vital Medical Center Board. Mr. Manager?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman. On this one, you have on seat number 6 for the Vidant Medical Center Board, previously held by Michael Walderam. Since he's been appointed the Dean of the Brady School of Medicine, he has vacated that seat. Per the Articles of Incorporation and bylaws, they have nominated Ms. Kristen Braswell for your consideration to be appointed.
Madam Chair, I move to appoint Ms. Braswell.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we appoint Kristen Braswell. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White. Yes. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you. We move to the reappointment to the ABC Board. Mr. Manager?
Yes, you have a recommendation for reappointment of Mr. Max Joyner Jr. This will be an exception to the board's appointment policy.
So moved.
Second it.
Okay. It's been moved and second that the reappointment of Max Joyner Jr. to the ABC Board. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White. Yes. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. We're moving into the added item. That is the resolution adopting of the redistricting plan. I believe at our last meeting, we adopted a plan, but we did not have the resolution with it at the time. So that also gives us an opportunity to revisit the current proposed map. Mr. Rose and Attorney Gallagher, or Mr. McLaughlin?
Yeah.
Commissioner McLaughlin?
Yes, Madam Chair, in view of some of the latest information that we've heard, of course, we've heard some this evening from Mr. Barrett, Reginald Barrett, and also representing Democracy North Carolina. Certainly, I look at the opportunity of making sure that the redistricting plan, as James wrote, I'm sure he will agree with this. We want to make it as equitable and as fair as possible. We've heard some concerns, even from this board on the last meeting, and then we hear some concerns here tonight. So I would like to, Madam Chair, make a motion that we ask James Rose and his staff to somehow look at some of these concerns and possibly retweak some of these to make it more, I guess, equitable or in terms of how we might can proceed with this plan of action to make it more equitable, transparent, and reasonable for all citizens concerned. That's my motion.
Madam Chairman,
Yes.
she has her hand up. I wasn't looking at where, I don't know who was first, but I was gonna second that. But I don't know where I was. So
I've had my hand up for a while.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I was looking this way.
That's fine. I was just going to get Mr. Rhodes if he could again, because I know that the concern over Winterville has come up before. That's really the only concern that I'm aware of. The thing about the Democracy NC, I haven't yet to hear any concern about that. Mr. Rhodes, could you please explain again this time what you explained to us? And I mean, I'm not saying, but I just want to know the problems with getting Winterville all in one district.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Rose, before you answer
Sure.
that, we have a motion on the floor. Let's get a second, and then we can discuss it.
Mary's already
And Mary will
I
second.
was gonna second the motion. I'm sorry, I'm seconding the motion.
Okay. Now we can discuss it.
Okay, so, Mr. Rhodes, that was my question.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Okay. We do have a few other items. We've had a chance, number one, I'm going to get to your answer in just a second, but we have had a chance to look at the map that was presented to you, and there are some issues there that don't necessarily follow your working assumptions. So I want to lay that on the table. Getting back to Winterville, given your working assumptions again, trying to retain as many of those boundary lines as possible. Winterville was already split 3 ways under the current plan, the 2011 plan. The 2021, again, we didn't do any further damage. It stays within 3 different districts. So if we were to shift and put all 10 or 11,000 people that reside within the Winterville city limits in one district, we are going to see a large ripple effect into all the other districts. It may also cause some issues from the retrogression side too, because some of those areas could impact districts 2 or District 1. So there's a lot, it's just not as simple as making this happen without causing some ramifications in some of the other districts. But we can look at that if that's the board's desire.
Well, I think that answers your question.
Yes, I wanted you to explain that again. I knew that I understood and comprehended it. I just wanted others to understand and comprehend it, because that's the only thing that I've heard. I have not heard any other concerns about the district, and there was only the gentleman that was here tonight, and then I think maybe one person at their last meeting that said something about the Winterville. I haven't really heard much about it. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Well,
Tom?
be more specific about the ripple effect, if you would.
With the proposed map,
Yeah, if you change it the way the motion went.
Well, I think if he answer the question about just the Winterville would be the ripple effect.
Pardon?
Is that right?
well, that was specific to Commissioner White's question, but the other map that's been presented also by Democracy NC did not follow some of your working assumptions. And just as an example, District 2 would no longer have a majority-minority representation there. There was at least one commissioner that was moved out of their district. So there are several different things that we had accomplished with the particular plan that you've already adopted versus this new plan that's been proposed just recently. So I just want to, even if we go in to make some of those changes, in my opinion, it's not going to meet all your working assumptions. There are going to have to be some gives and takes. And that's what's concerning, I'll say, the planning staff, is because we've got a small amount of time, and I'm not sure we're going to need some further guidance from the board as to what you want to achieve with this new plan that might be different. We've given you a great plan, is what I want to say. How about that?
That's good.
All right.
Yes, you have. Y'all have worked very hard on it.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunn?
Well, I'm not finished.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm confused. Why are we having to think about having another group to come in and present a map? When has that been done before? Is there a precedence for that?
Not during my tenure, no.
And your tenure is from how long? For how long?
Since the 1990 redistricting.
Okay, so this is kind of unprecedented. Why are we doing this? We had a good map. We all voted for it. We accepted the last meeting, and then all of a sudden, what's changed? I think the city of Winterville ought to look at itself. If it's split 3 ways, now it's got 3 different commissioners that are concerned with the welfare of the city. If you do it the other way, you only have 1 or 2, 1.5, I guess, if you want to look at the super districts. So I don't see the need for this. I think it's a spin on our wheels, and for what? What are we going to get out of it?
Any comment?
Madam Chair.
Well, I was, I guess, pinning down. So James, is your read on it that the ask to consolidate Winterville is part of an ask to, I guess, in the voters' mind, that where they live is who they vote for, and that it's not going to be kind of broken up. Is that the gist of what democracy? I'm just heard the public comment tonight, so
The primary, and that was what I was just going to mention, the primary driving force behind the map is to not split precinct lines.
Okay.
And to me, that is backwards from what we should be looking at. We should be looking at our federally driven constitutional requirements first. These precinct lines are sheerly local administrative boundaries. So that's in my opinion, the wrong way to look at things. That's something that's set up through our elections office and driven through administering the election process. So in my opinion, again, we've not divided any additional precincts with your new plan, more so than what was already divided under the current plan.
How many divided precincts do we have?
We have currently the 927 plan splits 19.
Madam Chairwoman, if James could also answer.
Out of 40.
On top of the county commissioners' districts, you've got congressional districts, you got state districts, you got school board districts, you got municipal districts. I mean, if you were to look at that among every single layer, you're going to have multiple splits of precincts lines, which again, like we've talked to Dave Davis, the elections director, those are just for administrative purposes of administrating the local elections. So they don't really, they're not meant to, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're not meant to correspond to the districts that are established for all these various levels of government.
I mean, it stands to reason that certain areas, wherever the precinct might be located, certainly that area is going to have some commonalities, a portion of Winterville or a portion of Greenville, but that does not necessarily mean that they are all one voting block for one particular election or one particular district, whether it be local, state, or federal. So they can change any different one. In fact, Dave Davis even mentioned there are 33 different types of ballots that are produced here in Pitt County because of those various splits. And there's really not a good way of getting rid of at least some of those divisions.
But hypothetically, we could simplify it here, at least as opposed to
hypothetically,
the county commission seats.
One point, Madam Chairwoman, if you direct staff to go through this process, which will be fine if you do, but if the maps are changed dramatically per law, we are going to have to schedule a third public hearing. You've had 2 so far to review these maps, and then you will have to adopt them prior to the deadline of November 17th and have them submitted.
Well, who's to say that it would be extreme change? That's not, I don't think that's the proposal. Is Mary, I believe you were next.
I was gonna say, splitting precincts does cause people to wonder when you're looking at interests. Like, I remember that one time they had people in the same household voting in different precincts. So the more you can have precincts of interest, the better, because that means that if you and I stay in the same precinct, at least we can have conversation about who we're voting for, or that sort of thing. And unless we can confuse the public, it's okay with me. But precinct splitting is not good for the general public, because a lot of people that don't understand where they go vote anyway. That was one of the things that concerned me, but and that's why I say, don't matter where you vote, you early vote, you ain't got to worry about it. So that's my comment, but the lines are important for other things.
Commissioner McLaughlin?
Yeah,
Commissioner Albright, did you have anything?
I just wondered if we heard the number of split districts in the new plan that's coming
19.
forward. I thought 19 was the 927 plan.
That is our current plan.
Right, and the new plan has
The
how many?
new plan that has been proposed does not split any.
Any, okay, thank you.
Commissioner McGahan?
James, but my concern was that, we've heard some commissioners comment as well, and that maybe we can just go back to it and look at some of the comments and concerns that the commissioners have. I know that it's not going to be perfect, but some commissioner may want to even voice some things to you that may come, that may be more equitable. So that was my concern, just to.
Okay.
And Madam Chair, we really need, again, if we need to have that discussion with individual commissioners, we need that as soon as possible so we can start providing those maps back to you for consideration.
Okay.
So if there are particular commissioners, we'd like to go ahead and get them invited in.
Okay.
Yeah, and further to that, James, I was thinking in terms of if we can do this expeditiously, to have it, maybe those comments or concerns brought to you and at our next meeting, you could have that information ready, so that, I know you have a timetable in terms of having this deliberate, and so we don't want to, keep this going for on and on. We just want to get it back to you.
At this time,
Excuse me, I'm recognizing down here. No.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we do revisit, I do think it would be appropriate that there also be a public hearing when we consider it, if there's a change.
Okay.
So that was not a part of the original.
You need a meeting then between now and the 15th, because then you'd have to schedule a public hearing once you meet 10 days prior to Janice's holding 10 fingers.
Okay. Okay. Now, I'm recognizing this.
At this time, I would like to make a substitute motion to go ahead and adopt the plan from, what was the date, James? September the 27th? That
Yes.
we have all had adequate time to discuss and to give comments. We've had 2 public hearings for the public to step forward and give comments. As James said, we have federal guidelines that we are obligated to follow. So that is my substitute motion to go ahead and adopt it. Staff has worked hard on it, and James, you said you've been doing this since 1990?
Correct.
You've been doing this since I was born. I think you're pretty good at it. So I'm going to say that we go with their plan that they have already proposed.
I'll second that motion. And I'd like to make a comment if I could.
I need to make some comments, okay? I think everybody has.
My comment is, I don't know how we are expected to come up with questions when we don't even know anything about what we're supposed to be questioning. So, Millen, I just don't see how am I supposed to ask a question when I don't even know what the district looks like yet? And by the time we get around doing all this, we're gonna run out of time.
Is that in here?
Whatever question.
I'm just making a comment as to when you made that motion and your explanation, you expected to come back by the next meeting. Well, come back with what? When I don't have any details, anything in front of me to be able to base a question on.
Well, from the last meeting, I've heard some concerns from some of the commissioners on this board. And then I've heard some information brought to us from Democracy North Carolina. My concern is just being as equitable as we can get it in terms of representation, in terms of maintaining some of the current district that we have now. I just want to see what we can do to keep it as we have it. And if it's a little tweaking has to be done, so let it be. But just look at it from some of the comments you've heard and some of the comments the commissioner brought, and what we heard tonight.
But based on what James wrote, with 30 years almost worth of experience, it's going to be a lot more than just a little tweak. Is that a correct statement?
Again, I'm still
don't wanna
looking a
put you in the
little bit
middle,
more
but it's more than a
guidance
little tweak.
for these work, what's new? And again, we can blend that into our remapping if that's what we're directed to do.
May I comment? Okay.
You got my permission.
What did you say?
It's your permission.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I was being funny.
okay. And let me comment, and then I'll go to Nunley, and then back down here. I believe you started out saying that you recognized that there were some things that could be changed with the present map. You started out saying that, I believe. So.
No, ma'am.
No,
What did you say at the very beginning? Did you recognize that?
I recognize that we adopted a plan last meeting. I
that-
don't think I said anything
you
along those
didn't.
lines.
That could, okay. Oh, okay, all right, we'll go with that, but I think I heard something. Anyway, we will, what I want to say is that we're talking about splitting a precinct and not totally talking directly with just Winterville, okay? Reggie spoke about Winterville too, but if we can lessen the number of precincts, and you said, I believe it's 19, that we're splitting. Just because we split 19 the
that's more than half.
the last time we drew the maps, we're supposed to learn or gather improvement or whatever, a way of doing things this 10 years later. So if we look at how we can split less precincts, fewer precincts, and manage to get the same minority precincts or get the same equal number of voters in each district, get those lines. So we recognize the difference in lines for House and Senate and Congressional, Board of Education, City Council. We recognize all of those, that they are very different. And as you said, Dave Davis said, how many ballots that
33.
voters have to contend with when they go to the polls and vote. We recognize all of that. But if we can draw the map so that less confusion, that's what we want, less confusion for the voters, and still maintain what's required of state census tract and all of that. That's all we're asking you to look at the map again, tweak it some, and make sure that we are on track with as few splitting of precincts as possible. And if it takes commissioners going in and meeting with you and just looking at that again, a second look at it, then, that's what we're asking.
Madam Chair, could we
Not
make
everybody's asking that, though.
could we make his job maybe a little more difficult and say not to change it so drastically that we would have to go through a public hearing again? I'm not sure that subjective nature of that distinction is easily discernible, but I agree that you've put in an awful lot of work here. I wouldn't mind seeing a map that had fewer split districts. I certainly don't want to see any of us district out of our seats. I think that was a principle that we adopted, and I think you've done a really good job, and I admire it for having kept to those principles. But looking at it with just a few with tweaks enough that we could do this without getting bogged down into another round of public hearings would be my preference.
Okay. Chris, nothing?
So I was just saying, the just on the public hearing thing, I don't know if it would be appropriate to do it without a public hearing if we change the maps, because we did it for everything else. And so I haven't had a chance to see the map as we're discussing tonight about what James might throw up. And I think that if the public is going to give comment, then they should show up and give comment at our next meeting, that we would consider it. Now, that's not to say that, this is a kind of a last minute thought. I mean, I didn't consider precinct splits when we were looking at the map. I think, James, you recall that my main concern is I'd like to get a footprint north of the river for District 3. I hadn't considered precinct splits. That was just brought to my attention recently. So, but I don't know if I agree that we can go forward, even though probably legally we could. I don't know if we should go forward without having a public hearing before.
I take that back. That was a stupid thing to say. Excuse me for interrupting. All right.
I'm sorry,
I apologize.
and that's
I
all.
apologize. I should not have suggested that.
But as we all said, I think Tom was talking about getting input. That's what public hearings are for, to get input from the community, from organizations, from different groups.
And are we supposed to hear that information at that same time? Are we, the commissioners who are going to be voting on it, we're supposed to hear about it only at that meeting? My point was a little while ago, and I'm hoping it resonates, is that I don't see what James Rhodes has seen as far as this map that's been presented by this independent organization. So since I have not seen it, how can I base any questions, objections, or anything else in regards to it based on no information?
Well, if you have an opportunity to view it, then you can have questions.
And when is that going to be?
You probably need a meeting, probably Monday the 8th, to review any proposed maps you're talking about tonight. I also had a chance to speak to Mr. Marcus Thompson this afternoon and explain to him the whole concept of that we weren't touching the precincts. He told me that his letter was precipitated upon comments he'd heard in the community. And then we got a copy of his map. His map, his starting basis premise of his mapping, he didn't even have the current 2011 county commissioner districts mapped on his map in the correct manner. One of the 3 districts that is under court order to be the minority-majority district, he had it less than 50%, as I recall, through James's analysis. Right. So a lot of his assumptions, even out the gate, were not, he didn't even have the correct lines on the map to begin with, to begin his basis for a conversation.
But so still there is a question there, so you can't overlook a person or a group or community concerns. And I was given that we could, Janice may be familiar with Bartlett versus Strickland, so you may be able to look at that. But we have to be willing to look at, to give it a chance, to look at other avenues or other ways of drawing these maps. So we're not going to draw another map until 10 years from now, right?
Correct.
So let's try to do the best that we can this 10 years that we're here. And then, and you say you've been doing it for this long, but there's always room to look at it in a different way. So I believe we have, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Rose, as
Yes,
far as I'm
ma'am.
concerned, I leave town Friday. And I won't be back until next week during the Monday. I'll look at anything you want to show me before then, since my district is the troublesome district. Is that good enough for everybody? Fine with me. I leave town Friday. I have family issues that I have to take care of out of town.
Can we go ahead and schedule a call meeting for Monday the 8th at 6 o'clock to review any maps?
Yep,
Madam Chair, call for the question.
Madam Chair, the attorney.
If I could just say, I'm not opposed to your called meeting, the suggested called meeting for Monday the 8th, but you would need 10 days' notice to do a public hearing. So if you wanted to space the time from hearing your public comments to your adoption of your map, these maps have to be approved and submitted to the various jurisdictions on November 17th. So if you're going to schedule a special meeting, you might want to do that 10 days from now so that you can hold your public hearing, and then the 15th would be your last opportunity to approve your map, unless you're going to do a special meeting to approve your map, unless you're talking about a special meeting to look at the maps, a special meeting to hold a third public hearing, and then a approval. I just want to throw that out there for consideration.
Madam Chair, again, call for the question. We got an issue on the floor.
Yeah, my substitute motion's on the floor.
Okay, there was a second for your substitute motion.
Yes, there were several
Okay, we'll carry your substitute motion that we adopt what was, the November, the,
927.
November
The 927 plan adopted
Nine-
on
nine.
10/18.
10/18.
What was it?
Okay.
It would actually be to, if I can clarify, to adopt the resolution as it's presented in your agenda package,
Yeah.
as an item for consent.
Yeah. Okay. Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins,
No.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick,
Yes.
Commissioner Albright,
No.
Commissioner Colson,
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
No.
Commissioner Nunley,
No.
Commissioner Perkins Williams,
No.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Now, what was the vote on?
Okay, so
Motion
then,
fails 5-4.
okay, so now we go back to,
The original motion for planning to address the mentioned concerns with the town of Winterville and
The split precincts.
the Democratic North Carolina.
Democracy
in
North
order
Carolina.
to proceed with adoption of the redistricting plan.
Wait a minute, that's
No.
not democratic. They are-
Democracy North
Democracy.
Carolina.
Democracy North Carolina.
no. I think what we need to, the motion, your motion, McLaughlin's motion
Yes.
was to look at a new proposed map.
I had for planning staff to address the mentioned concerns with the town of Winterville and Democracy North Carolina in order to proceed with the adoption of a redistricting
And
plan.
I think I did add with it, and the concerns of the county commission that was brought out on the last meeting.
Okay.
Which doesn't mean totally Winterville, right? Right. You got it?
I don't know.
So can you repeat your motion just so I can make sure I have it right? So you want me to take out the town of Winterville? Or you're saying just add the concerns of the county commissioners?
You keep the county, town of Winterville in there. Yes, ma'am.
And just add the concerns of the county commissioners?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
My problem with that is that you made the statement that you heard from other county commissioners. I didn't hear from them. I may be the only one that didn't hear. So how can you make that part of a motion when I'm not privy to such information as you have? Is anybody else in my predicament where they did not know that? At least 3 of us.
What was did not know what?
Didn't know that there was concern about.
He made the motion, and he's basically saying he had heard from other county commissioners issues in regards to redistricting. And so I'm questioning, how can that be part of a motion when I have no knowledge of it? Commissioner White and Mike Fitzpatrick said they didn't. They raised their hand, said they don't have any knowledge of it either. I don't know whether any other commissioners fall in the same group.
Commissioner Colson, I think it was just a semantics on the motion. I think that, and maybe I'm wrong, but the way that I heard it was that he was wanting to get further feedback from commissioner comments.
But that's how I heard it.
That's not what he said. All right, so be it.
You've heard the motion, it's been moved in second, ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins,
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick,
No.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson,
No.
Commissioner McLaughlin,
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley,
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams,
Yes.
Commissioner Ward,
Yes.
Commissioner White.
No.
Motion passes 6-3.
Okay. All right, now we're at a point where we need to schedule.
Yeah,
If
and
you're going to have a public hearing, you have to have that on 10 days' notice. Today's November 1st. You would need to have it no sooner than 10 days, and your adoption outside date is November 17th. So you would need to select that day. Your regularly scheduled meeting is November 15th.
Okay,
so could you have it the 11th or 12th, the public hearing, and then they come back and decide on Monday the 15th? Well, I guess
Could you do it before 17th day?
Yes, but you need 10 days notice.
Yes.
Yes.
Right, it'll have to be the 12th, because you'll have to publish your notice in the newspaper, so I don't know if you need to, right.
Yeah, I don't know if the publication deadlines you can get in the newspaper.
You might need to ask Dawn
You have to ask Dawn to,
how quickly she can get the notice in the newspaper.
okay.
The 15th, and then meet after that for adoption if we have.
Yeah, I guess technically you could do it the 15th, and then like Commissioner Albright said, come back the 16th, and even the 7th, Tuesday and Wednesday if you had to.
Mhm.
Scratch my head, but with that.
Okay.
So let's go with the 15th.
Yeah.
Go with the 15th or 16th?
The hearing on the 15th and then adoption on the 16th?
You could technically hold the hearing on the 15th, and if you so choose, you can act on the 15th. You can act back on the 927 plan, or you can act on some revised plan that night. You don't have to wait until a subsequent night, but if you wanted to rest on a night, then yeah, you could come back the 16th or 17th. I guess technically they could continue the meeting to the next day, recess.
You could. I would be concerned about approval on the 17th, because we have to distribute those maps out to
So the 15th or
ci-
no later than the 16th?
That's what I would suggest,
Is the manager's
yes.
suggestion, yes.
Okay,
Okay.
that's great.
15th,
Or no later than.
The public hearing on the 15th, the decision on the 15th or the 16th.
okay.
Yes. So it would be 10 days' notice on the public hearing, and it would be, you could issue a special meeting notice for the 16th on 48 hours' notice, and if you approve on the 15th, then you could cancel that special meeting on the 16th.
Right.
Yes.
Can we just go ahead and call the meeting for the 16th, and we'll cancel it if not needed?
Yes, I would
Just-
suggess you do that,
Yeah.
so that the
Yeah.
public has as much notice as
Yeah.
possible.
Okay.
And then you can cancel it the evening of the 15th if it's not necessary.
So does that mean for Monday the 15th,
What's the number day on Thursday?
the 11th?
Yes.
That's
No.
exactly 2 days to me.
That's right, that's a good suggestion.
Better than to not have a public hearing.
And then I'll be
That
on
was a bad suggestion.
I know what he was trying to just move it.
All right,
Yeah,
I got
I understand.
one.
Okay, are we
Yes,
good?
we're set.
The publication deadline is tomorrow at noon to get in the paper on Thursday, which will be the 11th, which gives you exactly 10 days until Tuesday, for Thursday, the 4th, which will give you exactly 10 days for your meeting on the 15th. So
Okay.
yes.
Okay. All right. We got that straight?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, and then if there's any other direction for, I'm assuming, does James have sufficient direction? Are we operating from the map? I just want to make sure that since this is such a tight time frame, that we're bringing back what the board wants. So
Yes.
the map from Democracy, North Carolina, is the board wanting us to start from that map?
No.
Or is the board
No.
wanting us to start from
To
the
look at the
927
existing
map and
map
seek
and
to
try to
minimize
find ways
precinct
to
splits?
mitigate the
Yeah.
split
Right.
districts.
Yeah. We're
That's
gonna look
all.
at-
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
as far as I can, and
That
not
was-
to,
that was
and
my-
not to split, to redistrict anyone out of their position.
Right,
But
that
it's-
was my
And
concern.
could we be sent a copy of that map?
I would love to have a copy of that map.
Yeah. So the optic is to look at, well, really, you can look
That's
at
not-
both of them and
that's
try
not-
to split fewer precincts and come up with a map.
I understand if James does as well. Yes?
Okay. All right. Now we will go, commissioner comments. I believe that's where we are.
Yes,
Are we
ma'am.
starting down here? No comment.
I want to apologize to James Rhodes for creating this extra and unnecessary work. Sorry, James.
Commissioner Nunley,
No comment.
Commissioner Perkins.
I had a comment, but I'm so lost. I want to say to everyone that about the what has happened tonight. It's important that people get positive development and that we fully understand what's happening. We do want development, we really do, but this is the first time I've had to stay in my house for 2 weeks and not get out that much. All the phones were full, but we do need some development in my district, and because they do drive a long ways for services for the county. And if we can keep that in mind in our development and our growth process, it would be great. I have invited some scientists, Mr. Rose is aware of that, to help me understand how the district can live comfortably with drainage and water and the problems that we have in our area. And the county has been kind enough to help me get a clarification on that. And I want the public to know that I'm looking for positive ways that we can live positively with water and give fresh looks and eyes so that we can be on one stream as far as water. I've not made this comment before, and I'm sure the county staff is aware of my interest in that, and I wanted to approach it this term because this is my second term, and I like for us to give it a good shot as to looking at how the district can survive in a place that they love with the water or the disaster problems that we may be faced with as residents. I want to thank all of you for hearing that comment tonight. That's what I've been looking at, and that's what I've been focused on for some time. And I thank you all for your patience.
Commissioner Albright?
No comment.
McLaughlin?
No comment.
Tosin?
James, I apologize. Your work is cut out for you. I just hope you don't make me a casualty of your pen.
Okay, I have no comments at this time. We will go into closed session. Madam Attorney?
It has been suggested that this board go into closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 under attorney-client privilege to consult with an attorney employed by the public body in order to preserve that privilege. Also under 143-318.11A4, to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area. And also under 143-318.11A1, to prevent the disclosure of confidential information.
Motion to go into
Motion to go.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. We're going to closed session. Are you ready for the question, Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin. Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Okay. We're back in open session now. Commissioner White?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the closed session meeting minutes from the closed session meeting October 18th.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the closed session minutes October 18th. Are you ready for the question? Madam Clerk?
Chairwoman Floyd Huggins.
Yes.
Vice Chair Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Commissioner Albright.
Yes.
Commissioner Colson.
Yes.
Commissioner McLaughlin.
Yes.
Commissioner Nunley.
Yes.
Commissioner Perkins Williams.
Yes.
Commissioner Ward.
Yes.
Commissioner White.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second it.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. We adjourn.